R.A.R.E. Resistance and Resiliency Essentials. Copyright 2020 by Vinson, Ballard. Resistance. Countering, fighting back, staying strong without. And resiliency. Bouncing back. And is that a very rare combination? Very genuine, very fitting, exactly genuine, an exact date, an actual family, an actual community, a genuine friend that comes from the connection to and through the awesome universal one. Universal energy, universal decency, universal order, universal harmony, universal balance, universal healing. And is it necessary to begin with the right kind of winning, and not just beginning? Not just through vulgarity, disrespecting, mere trickery, backstabbing, drunken and emptiness. Not concerned with genuine decency and its humanity and reality sanity, and not mere vanity or existing in insanity. Foolishness and being pimped, played, swayed, and through worldly exempt greed, another kind of fool gold's creed. Someone allowing theirself to be an extension of this regretful kind of inhumane seed, and taking the lead of this premeditated, instigated aggravation, with lives not mattering, and people protesting in numbers not mattering, doing something and not lasting because of not meaning it, giving lip service and grandstanding and not wisely meaning it, not the least bit concerned with the savagely-like barbaric or savage-like atrocities of the precious black lives tortured, destroyed, misemployed, systematic racism employed, strategically placed in a void, in a roles, and that sad, misguided boat is still being rolled, driven, ridden, ran, manned, and through systematic racism forced to continue standing and landing. Therefore, resistance and resiliency should also be demanded, destined, delivered, demonstrated daily, because it is dedication and participation in higher spirituality and sacred divinity, as it is, was, will be, shall be. Can't you see? And why cowardly flee? Because this is the place to be. Resist as in resistance, resisting, resistance, seeing what your individual divine mission and space and decency taste is all about within its action. You're living for, living to, living through, and you or I should care about resistance. As with inhumanely choking, shooting, the kneeing of a neck, shooting in the back, the life out of someone, somebody, some person, some individual, some human being, somebody's child, somebody's family member, somebody's community member, somebody's neighbor, somebody's favorite, a human decency member that is beat while they are vulnerable, innocent, worldly overpowered, for that savage-like moment of being pressed down, harassed down, beat down, policied down, misused resources down. And then here comes the fake smiles in suits and modern-day false troops. So resistance is essential, inevitable, universally energized, can be within excellence, equipping, liberating, empowering, and more. And it is connected to the unboxed higher spiritual divine source. In that regard, think of the countless blood, sweat, tears, years, and oh dears, whose shoulders and sacrifices that we stand on and have landed on, and that momentum, continuation, or astrological vibration. Remember, we continue and have always protested and resisted, even when the worldly powered establishment had it twisted in their barbaric and savage-like minds, as brought to the surface by the late Honorable and beloved Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop's works, as in his classic Civilization of Barbarism, and Dr. John Henry Clarke's work, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, Slavery and the Rise of European Capitalism, which informed us of how he, Christopher Columbus, like other descendants of the captives, was certainly not an explorer and was even imprisoned for the majority of his life without it being known. His stripes. He even never put foot on American soil. And the native blacks were already here. Oh, my dear, can you imagine the fear of those who have always known and know the truth? Have the financial records, have had mainstream and people going backwards during this reference. Savage-like, barbaric, and these inhumane times, not just fools' gold, but we were sold, still solid, still loving, still strong, still resisting, black in many shades, not just played, and some are still standing together as we speak. As with genuine resistance or naturally countering disorder that the ancient elders called isfit, which was later called evil, or a multi-continent kind of hate weasel, other names, other forms, as with systematic racism, that ism, those isms, and those continuous kinds of prisms, prisms, this one, that one, and those ones, amending the hateful policies, the treatment as with blue-collar versus white-collar sly policies. So why still treat the neck and windpipe as mere economics, as with slavery, like momentum? What about these kinds of unnatural, person-made, raging storms, stents, stays, sinister, rent for those who certainly think that they falsely own the universe, as in the universal one, the most greatest divine creation? And what then is the reference, a part of, a start of, a finishing of, a predator-like conquering of, a barbaric-like torturing of lives that should be matter, but instead is placing lives on shattering, shaming, denaming, maiming, and this is why resistance should continue divinely connecting with resiliency, or getting back up, getting it back together. It is then possible to be connected to this resistance and resiliency in one's veins, in one's character, in one's behavior, in one's healing, in one's kind of conquering of their pain, their gain, how they remain, how they falsely disdained or named, grow to, through, or not even know what their name means, what it is connected to, connected through, resisted on, resisted at, resisting through to being, seeing, knowing that individually we are a divine creation or a divine being having a divine human experience and a lone steward of the 5 domains. The minerals, the plants, the animals, the humans, and higher spirituality together under and together with the universal one who is presently available. Therefore, should you or I then avail ourselves individually and collectively, and that is still a choice, a voice of genuine R.A.R.E, resistance and resiliency essentials, which would humbly show your who-ness, your legacy, and not just turning ahead to the thought of what is not done to me, and not see your sisters, brothers, neighbors not get these kinds of savagely like worldly favors, mistreatment, deceiving, continuous behavior until it by happen chance land in your door, your yard, real hard. Think about those whose shoulders that we stand on, who many of us or our humbling opportunities came before of their awesome sacrifices and focus, their consideration of the not born, the innocent, their people, the continuing stands of liberation, resistance, and resiliency, even during the most creative survival moments. And now we are still reminded of the same choice of voice. Examples of examples and standards of standards. If it meant jail and imprisonment, they did as with King Christ and many in that moment who shared this humbling price. Some even did it in the presence of the graves and degradation sites of their honorable loved ones. Some were continually handed over in deceit by a rotation of individuals who they thought were close to them, but in fact, these individuals were closer to their adversaries. Sometimes their loved ones were tortured, threatened, and greed took over their setting, misrepresenting libraries, artifacts, ego tripping, selling and are really skipping any ounce of decency, divine honor, for worldly greed, with systematic opportunities and clothes, can't hide or disguise. Dishonest finances will not always take these barbarians for their kind of ride. Resistance and resiliency, essentials, are still needed, will be effectively greeted. And who will step up, get up, be up, reach up, to continue this honorable commitment? Copyright 2020 by Vinson Ballard.